Another major trend that we find fairly exciting from the next 5 to 10 year perspective is consumption, and specifically subsegments of consumption where a large market shift is happening from unorganized to organized as an industry, right? And that is largely driven by trends. If you look at in and around you, we are having families which are far more nuclear. The urbanization rate today is at around 35%, and that is improving every year that we're trying to look at. And in the next 10 years, it will certainly cross more than 40% that we're trying to look at. There is a rising per capita income that we are all witnessing, which invariably favors consumption more of consumer discretionary items that we're trying to look at. And there is a rising awareness and aspirations among people to consume more and more brands. And that is where, if you were to look at India, and there are a lot of studies where people have pointed out that you cannot look at India as one homogeneous market. It's actually markets which are divided into say India 1, which are consumers which have a per capita income which is more than $10,000, and these are all the consumers which typically consume more of luxury goods and will not get impacted. And even if we saw during COVID times, it did not get impacted despite the downturn or the cut in their income levels that you're trying to look at, because fairly they are living a lifestyle which is similar to what a developed market lifestyle is in the overall sense. This is largely a population of somewhere at around 10 crore people out of the 140 crore population that we have, right? Then there is India 2 as a segment, which is again a population of similar size of around 10 crore people with a per capita income of around $5,000 that we're trying to look at. And these are the people which are fairly conscious of what they're consuming in terms of brands. So right from the clothes they wear to the shoes they wear to the cars they're driving to drive, everything they want for a particular brand which can depict that there is a certain income level that they're trying to posture. More importantly, this segment of 10 crore people in the next 7 years is expected to double, and that is where there is a big shift towards branded products which many of these companies are trying to capture, and where we find that a 15% kind of a CAGR for the next decade is very much feasible. And that is what is exciting about the consumer discretionary as a segment that we're trying to look at. And then we have 120 crore population which is having a per capita of $1,000, which is where it's all about trying to capture the bottom of the pyramid by increasing how you can provide product access at a very reasonable price, and where companies try to sachet their products or try to get into a unit level pricing which makes it far more economical, be it a 5 rupee, 10 rupee or a 20 rupee pack, which actually can improve the overall penetration of the products that we're trying to look at. We find growth to be there across all these three Indias, which is India 1, India 2 and India 3. But more importantly, India 2 is where there will be a disproportionate growth over the next 5 to 7 years. And if you look at penetration across categories, so let's talk about consumer durables as a segment. Today we have refrigerators present in 1 in every 3 houses, which is 33% kind of a penetration. Washing machine is somewhere at around 15 to 17%, and ACs is somewhere around 7%. And over the next decade, penetration levels will improve across various of these subsegments that we're trying to look at. It has happened with various developed markets at different points in time over the last 50 years, and the same thing will happen with India in the next 10 years that we're trying to look at. So we find a lot of exciting investment opportunities for various branded consumer discretionary, be it low ticket or medium ticket consumer discretionary items, that we should be looking at it from an investment perspective from the next 5 to 7 year perspective. One of the themes that we're fairly excited over the next 5 to 10 year is about consumption, where there is a larger trend of shifting from unorganized to organized. And the key determinants of that trend is, which we see in and around us, is all families that we're trying to look at are going far and far nuclear, that is the shorter families. Rate of urbanization is improving. We are somewhere at around 35%, and that can actually over the next 10 year perspective improve above 40% that we're trying to look at. Rising per capita income, which invariably finds there is an increase in consumer discretionary items, and rising awareness and aspirations that we're trying to look at. And we find this trend fairly exciting, largely because if you look at the central portion of the consumption theme which is there, where there are a lot of people, somewhere at around 10 crore kind of a population, which is expected to double in the next 7 years to somewhere at around 20 crore kind of a population, which are fairly brand conscious in everything that they are trying to do. Right from the clothes they wear to the shoes they are wearing to the cars that they are driving to the ACs that are there in their homes, they want to depict that their income levels through everything that they are trying to do in and around them, and that is where many of the companies which are catering to this segment are fairly excited that they can actually do a 15% kind of a CAGR over the next 10 years because of not only the growing volumes that you are trying to look at, but the awareness of different brands at different stratas of the society that has been there, and that is where this makes immense sense. Again, if you were to look at from a penetration perspective, many of these sub segments are fairly under penetrated. So for a country like India, even refrigerators today, we only have in 1 in 3 households, so 33% kind of a penetration. Washing machine is only at around 15-16% kind of a levels, and ACs is at around 7% kind of a level, providing a long runway for growth over the next 10 years to improve penetration in each of these subcategories. So we are fairly excited on consumption, particularly in consumer discretionary as a theme from a 5-7 year investment perspective.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिमों के अधीन है। स्कीम संबंधी सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।